Hi friends! Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for visiting today. I'm Gina. I am a wife and mother of 2 children, and this is my channel full of Grace Stitches. I create weekly podcast episodes featuring works in progress, finished objects, news and updates, questions and comments from you all from my channel. I love all things crochet, knitting, anything, all the crafts, anything creative. I'm all about that. So I'm so glad that you're here. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Be sure to stay tuned because I have an unboxing to share with you later on in this episode. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Why don't you go ahead and grab your project, whatever you're working on, a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like to drink, and join me and we'll go ahead and get started. So my first project that I've been sharing with you over these last few weeks are my Dainty Daisy Granny Squares. And I'm now on a new bag of Granny Squares. So now I have 3, this is my 3rd bag. I have counted them as well. I won't go too into detail with it because I know I've been sharing this over the last few weeks. But these are the Granny Squares, in case you're new around here. And so I've counted them this morning right before I started filming, and I have 170. I believe last week when we checked in, it was 144 or 145 squares completed. So I have made a little bit of progress this week, and I'm excited. I'm inching my way, getting a little bit closer every week on this project. And my intention is to create a big blanket for my daughter for her first birthday coming up in May. And I do intend to do the continuous join as you go. Let me know in the comments if you've done the continuous join as you go before. Let me know how that went for you. I think that's what I'm going to do. This is actually my first time doing granny squares. I didn't know about granny squares until recently, actually. And so then I got on the granny square kick and decided to make this blanket using granny squares for my daughter. So let me know how the continuous join as you go went. There's a tutorial out there from Hooked by Robin. She has a very good video on the continuous join as you go. So I intend to make 480 of these little squares and then join them together using that method. I have another project that is kind of on the back burner, and it's been on the back burner now for a few weeks. It's the classic granny square project. I won't go into too much detail on this, but I will just share with you briefly for those of you that are new. So these are the granny squares. So you can kind of get a sense of the color palette. Like I said, they're on the back burner, so I am kind of putting this off for a little bit, so I'm not going to spend too much time going into the details. If you are interested in any of the projects that I'm sharing, I do go into further detail. If you go to my very first podcast episode, I introduce these projects and I go into fuller details and specs on those projects. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out that other video as well. The next project I'd like to share is my temperature blanket. And boy, did we have a warm week last week. We had 3 days of 70s and we had 4 days of 80s. So we were very, we had some wonderful weather, but it did come as a shock because we went from more mild temperatures to all of a sudden 70s and 80s. So I've been able to introduce now my yellow color here. So you can see we've had those 3 rows here of that rosy pink, that's 70s, and then our 80s is 4 rows here. So we've brought a little bit of brightness and sunshine to the piece. If you have any questions about this temperature blanket project, please feel free to go back to my first episode where I explain more detail about the project. The last final project I'd like to share with you that I'm working on is the Painted Anemones Potholder. And it can also be made as a doily. So in its current state, it is a doily. It's finished on the front side. And then I also created a back side as well that will be attached. And then we can call this project complete. So I explained last episode that I was looking for a project that was a little bit more quick and easy to complete, because most of my projects are more longer term, like the temperature blanket. That's going to be a whole year's worth of work. The granny square project is kind of on the back burner, and I just work on that whenever I can. The Dainty Daisy is a project that I would like to have done in May for my daughter's birthday. But I needed something that was just a little bit faster paced, so I could just keep my creative juices flowing. And so I turned to this pattern by Sandra Paul of Cherry Heart, and it's the Painted Anemones Potholder and Doily. And the colors, I love the colors. I explained those in my last episode as well, but they are from Hobby Lobby. They're the I Love This Cotton line, size 4, worsted weight. And there's 6 different colorways. We have like a deep purple, a light lavender, blush pink, a green for the little leaves, and a blue color and a gray, a pewter gray to frame it out. And then I also have that same pewter gray that I use on the final rounds to be the backing. So I just have to attach the backing and I'll be all set with this one. I've received some comments from you all about the colors in the temperature blanket, and I wanted to kind of explain how I got there with those colors. There's a lot of different ways to make color palettes. Some people choose to do their temperature blanket colors with that traditional color palette of the weather forecast, but I actually looked into some of the artwork that I have around my home. There's a painting that I have in my family room. It's a impressionist painting of a landscape scene. I actually took a picture of that painting and I took it with me when I went yarn shopping, and that's how I pulled the colors. So this project, once it's completed, it will be a full blanket, and I plan to use it in that same room with the painting. So I thought that maybe that would be a great way to have a cohesive look in that room and pull those colors together. So if you are stumbling on ways to put together a color palette, that's one way. If you find something in your home, piece of artwork, pull the colors from that, take a picture of it and bring it with you. And that can help produce interesting color palettes. I also go to Pinterest, and you can search on Pinterest for all kinds of color palettes as well, and just type in different options and maybe pick like your main color and then say, pink color palettes or monochromatic color palettes. So there's all different ways to go about creating color palettes with your work, but that was just one of the ways that I utilized some artwork in my home to create a color palette for my temperature blanket. What are you working on right now? Are you working on something with crochet or knitting? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know. And I'm kind of getting an itch to do a knitting project, so I've heard from some of you that you love crochet, but you also still do some knitting and like to knit your socks. So I initially was going to crochet a pair of socks, which I still probably will, but I might try knitting some socks too. I just need to go get some double pointed needles. Let me know what you use for your socks. Do you use interchangeable needles or double pointed needles? What technique do you like to do? And do you have any patterns that you like for socks? Crazy Sock Lady has a vanilla socks pattern that I actually ended up downloading over the weekend because I think I might put that on my wish list to do is a knitted socks pattern. And I might use her pattern, but I am curious to know what patterns you like. And I know that there's a difference between toe up versus top down as far as socks go, and I'm just curious, do you knit your socks toe up or from top up or kind of both? Does it really matter? Let me know what you think. I find this time so peaceful when my son is in school, my daughter's taking a nap, and I can just get on here and say hello and share with you all these wonderful things that I'm working on. And I like hearing from you as well. I'd actually like to unbox some yarn with you today. I thought that would be fun for our news and updates portion of the episode. But I got a bag here from Michaels. This is not sponsored, by the way. I bought this yarn with my own money. So look at what we have here. We have 2 skeins of the Caron cotton ripple cakes, and it's in the colorway French Vanilla. Isn't that beautiful? It's just subtle and neutral. I just love it, and it has kind of a ripple effect in the cotton, if you can see that there. So it has like kind of light beigey grays, creamy colors, taupey colors, just a very nice neutral. So I got 2 skeins of those. Oh, and it has actually a very pretty, it has a very pretty pattern on the label. Look at that. It's a shawl. I actually kind of like that. Maybe I'll hang on to that pattern. Do you ever do that? Do you ever hang on to the patterns that come on the labels? And I also got four skeins of the Caron cotton cakes. And this is in the colorway High Tide. So there's lots of variations of light blues and kind of a grayish blues and teals. Just a very nice, soothing palette. So I got 4 skeins of these. Let's see if I can. Ooh. 4 skeins of these. And I do want to mention that they are a size 4 medium weight. They are a size 4 medium weight. It's a 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, and they're machine wash and dry. So this will be easy care. And then the cotton ripple cakes, these are also, oh no, these are size 3. I didn't know that. Size 3, and they're 100% cotton. So my intention with these are to create a blanket for my son, a granny stripe blanket actually. There's a pattern by Attic 24, and I thought I would do the main part of the blanket in this High Tide color, and then maybe every 3 rows add in this one, the cotton ripple cakes. in this lighter color and then use this lighter color as the border. So there was another pattern by CJ Designs, which is also a granny stripe pattern, and she does that same color combination. So I'm kind of pulling from a couple of different patterns. Do you ever do that? Do you ever kind of pull together different patterns that are the same thing but maybe just different color variations for those? Let me know what you do. And I'll also include a picture of my son's color palette in his room, and I think that those colors, this set of blue is just really goes with his room, I feel like. So that's an exciting update. And once I finish her Dainty Daisy blanket, that will give me a new slot of opening, because I don't like to have too many projects going at a time. So as soon as one project is open and done, then that leaves an opening for a new one. So my goal is when I complete this Dainty Daisy granny square, then I'll start on a blanket for my son, because he's been asking me for a blanket. So he's just so cute. He knows when I'm doing crochet, and he can pinpoint things that are crocheted out and about. It's really cool. He says, "That was crocheted, Mommy." So that's adorable that he is kind of keeping up with it as well. So that was great to unbox that with you all. How fun was that? Do you all get excited when you get new yarn in the mail? It feels like Christmas. Now I'd like to go into some of the questions and comments that you had on my channel. The first comment comes from Kaylin. Hi, I'm so glad the algorithm suggested your podcast. I have several whips, but my main projects are my hashtag the 100-day project, which is an Ophelia Talks sampler blanket, a Harlequin blanket, 2022 Ophelia Talks Spring Cal. For my husband, a milestone stitch blanket for my sister, and several crochet tops and cardigans, which I take with me in the car to work and appointments. Your granny squares and temperature blanket are beautiful. I love your colors. Well, thank you so much, Kaylin. Thank you so much for the comment and for visiting my channel. I love all of those projects. I also follow Ophelia Talks on YouTube. She is great, and she always has really interesting projects. I too take my projects with me in the car, my smaller ones anyway, little granny squares. I can just complete those easily in the pickup line while I'm waiting for my son to get out of school. Or if I have to go to a dentist or a doctor's appointment, I can work on it really quick while I'm in the waiting room. What crochet top patterns are you working on? I'd love to know. I've been getting excited about the idea of crocheting a top, but don't have anything specific in my wish list planned. Thanks so much for watching this video. And then Kaylin actually responded too. She said that the crochet top pattern that she's working on is Sandra Paul's from Cherry Heart, the Florence tee, because it's made up of several small squares which are joined in a way that resembles a lacy trellis and are perfect to wear over dresses or a tank top in the summer. I must get this pattern, Kaylin. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. It sounds absolutely beautiful. And I already love Sandra Paul's patterns. She is just a wonderful designer and crafter and maker. I just think you know, I have a lot of projects of hers that are in my queue that I would just love to whip out and start working on. So thank you so much, Kaylin, for sharing all this wonderful things that you're working on, and I hope that you really enjoy the process and getting those projects completed and those gifts that you're looking at giving to your sister and your husband. I'm sure they will love them. My next comment comes from Susan. Susan says, lovely video. You are making one of the most beautiful temperature blankets I have seen on YouTube videos. Oh, that is so sweet. I am currently crocheting a granny stripe blanket using Baby Bee Sweet Delight from Stash. Although I'm enjoying the project, I'm not enjoying the static on the yarn. I can't recall static ever being a problem with an acrylic yarn. I'm also knitting a sock pattern. I'm also knitting a sock using Patton's Crochet sock yarn, which is turning out quite nice. I'm looking forward to seeing Bunny all finished and ready to be loved on. Oh, that is so sweet, Susan. I love your comments. That is so nice of you. I'm interested to see how your knitted sock turns out. Good to know that the Crochet sock yarn that you're using from Patton's is working out well too, because I actually ended up getting that yarn in my Hobby Lobby clearance haul. I have never experienced any issues with static. That is interesting. I wonder why that is going on. I wonder if there's something you can do about it. Maybe there's somebody out who's watching this video who might know or have an experience with static yarn and maybe what you can do for that. So if anybody knows, let us know. We're both wondering. And thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate your comments. Thank you. And good luck on that granny stripe blanket. I just announced too on this episode that I'm going to start a granny stripe blanket as soon as I'm done with my other project. So that's awesome. And I love the idea of a stash blanket. Do any of you out there use your stash yarn to do any projects? I'd love to know. It's so much fun to see what you can do and all the possibilities that you can have with all that stash yarn. Let me know what you make from your stash. Do you have a question for me? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all of your comments and I love all the feedback that I've been getting, and it's just been so much fun. I also started on the community tab, so I'm able to update you all there too, and we can continue to stay connected. And if there's any kind of videos that you'd like to see from me in the future, please let me know, because I'm always on the hunt for new topics to discuss. Well, I think that's it for today, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was so exciting to share with you all this wonderful things and the yarn that I got today that I was able to unbox with you and talking about future projects. It was just so much fun. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Take care and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.